We are live, Will Noonan.
Welcome to the Noonan Show. I am Will Noonan. This is Paul Price. Do you ever watch Great British Bake Off?
Yeah, Sharon watches.
I
want to
host that show so bad. I know I'm not British.
Then just make one. Do a Southie Bake Off.
But I just, you know how they have the two comics who do fun. They're like, you have 5 minutes and I don't have a watch. Like, I'm like, I could.
We could have
murder those. Can we do that with the green screen?
Yeah.
Set up the green screen and it'll look like Great British Bake Off, and I'll do like.
But I think
bakers.
I think we can organize an actual event pretty easily. We get Southie bakers, have you, and get a couple other people.
Bakers, you have 5 minutes, and I need a thumb. Like, that's all you got to come up with. You can tell they're coming up with that shit on the fly. Welcome to the Noonan Show, guys. My hair's a little. I was saying, I feel like I have hockey. It's already drying, but I felt like I had hockey player like after the game, post game press conference hair. Coach said, whatever coach said is right, and we got to get out there, and it's a tough sport, and they got a good team, and we got a good team, and tonight they were just a better team. Athletes. Where are you going? Oh, it sounds weird? Are you sure it's not my voice? Someone told me recently my voice sounded different. I go, what the fuck does that mean? What are you saying something like that to someone like me?
It's my moneymaker.
Yeah, it's one of my students was like, your voice sounds different. I go, I don't know. It's cold out.
Maybe your voice sounds different.
I'm like,
maybe your ears are hearing different.
We were in like a room where music was blasting and people were talking. I go, how can you fucking criticize what my voice sounds like right now?
You just wanted to say something to me.
Feed my starter. So, dude, I'm trying to do a sourdough starter. I'm failing. I'm just making slop. I'm trying to make the starter. Brutal.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a good job. Anyway.
Well, I remember trying to maintain a SCOBY for kombucha, and it's a similar thing because you're feeding yeast and trying to keep it alive. I can do it for quite a bit, but it's not indefinite for me.
I don't think what they tell you is...
I'm not clean enough. That's my problem.
I don't think the climate in Massachusetts is conducive to growing yeast because it's too all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy Baguette's yeast opinions. I don't know.
It's the yeast of your problem.
There you go. How do we not have more subs with shit like that? I say we call subs grinders.
Yeah, there you go.
We need more grinders. I know this isn't one of the stories, but just for conversation's sake.
Okay.
Have you seen any of those trailers for the new Pam and Tommy movie with like Seth Rogen? And
no, that's amazing.
I'm gonna be honest, it looks so good.
Really?
And the woman they got to play Pamela Anderson, Lee.
There you go.
It's just bringing me all the way back to how fucking hot I thought Pamela Anderson Lee was when I was a young lad. I mean, those are like the glory days of puberty for me. But this girl, I mean, she is perfect. The actress they got to play her. It's I know I'm putting Paul like right on the spot, Jamie style. There it is. Lily James oozes sex appeal as she transforms into. I mean, look at this girl, man.
That's crazy.
She looks just like her, and she talks like her. And I just went, God, you forget how incredibly dope Pamela Anderson Lee was. That's all I got really about it. It actually looks like I'm not a huge.
They don't make bad movies anymore. I'm like they don't make great movies all the time, but they rarely make bad movies.
Yeah, the formula is definitely there. I heard, and I don't know this as a former employee, but I've heard Netflix has like basically a blueprint they want people to follow when it comes to make. And I mean,
I believe that
from technical things as being like what film and what.
I definitely believe that.
What basically like. The
guy looks good too.
Dude, and they act great too. I saw the trailer, but it's like movies now are made to be watched on home theaters, not in theaters.
Yeah,
like 90% of the stuff that people make,
you're completely right.
They're making for a television and not for a film screen. So it's changed the way things are shot, and it makes it makes everything easier. It makes it quicker. It makes the whole
Cheaper,
process.
yeah.
The one thing I think kind of, I've been thinking, I thought about this last time I was on a shoot. I'm old enough that a couple things I did early in my career were shot on film, and then digital came out. And I go, you know what was great about film was directors wouldn't shoot 100 takes. Only the most fucking rich, famous, awesome directors.
Because it costs you couldn't shoot that much.
I think about it all the time when
That's amazing.
When I watch old movies now.
So it forces them to have restraint.
Yeah, and you'll see an old movie and you'll see a scene where you're like, something's a little off, or one of these actors is not really keeping up with the others. And you go, well, they just had to deal with what they had to deal with. But I think in this weird way, artistically, it makes for better movies. That's why when you go see a play, it feels real. Because in real conversation, not every single person is perfectly hitting all their fucking points and not everyone is silky smooth, right?
I think you're right about music. Everything.
Yeah, everything has become so. Yeah. And when I shoot something often, it's like I just do fucking 400 takes, and then they either are looking for something and they want me to nail it, or they just want 400. So a month and a half later, when they're in the editing
they can
room,
sculpt it however they want.
They can sculpt it however they want.
Yeah.
And I just think it's been detrimental, and you can see it, I feel like, in the stuff you watch, you know?
I think you're definitely right.
Because I forget what it was. I watched something on Netflix where I was like, oh, it was about these women. It was about those women who like were writing with iridium or
oh shit.
And they were like licking it. And I go, this to me feels like they didn't do enough takes. This feels like they did 2 takes of everything. Or you could also tell they shot it like one emotion didn't fall into the next scene. It was just like each thing was like its own little box. Like today we're sad, so do your sad thing. Today we're happy, do your happy thing. And I go, that's the problem with the way things are done now.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. Like it becomes an art form, and then they figure out how to make that art form that everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Everyone ruins it, and then it has to come back together.
It's so true.
Because there is like with unlimited takes, you have unlimited possibility. So like with the perfect eye or the perfect person, it could be amazing.
Yeah. But most people, it's like actors. 1 in 100 actors is really a truly amazing talent, and it's the same with directors.
Yeah,
you know?
or anything.
Or
tattoos.
producers.
Have you ever seen I've seen a few tattoos. I'm like, oh my god, that's an amazing tattoo. But most tattoos you see look like fucking a child did them.
Oh my god. I know this guy who's like a real sober guy, and he gets like sobriety tattoos all the time, or just positivity tattoos.
Jesus.
I'm like, what are you hiding from?
Yeah, Jesus, man.
You need everyone to just, I don't know.
It's like those cars with 1 million bumper stickers on the back that tells you all the like hikes and races they've been in.
Oh, those are lame, and also the ones that are just all political on either side too. I will say this: I know I'm more of a lefty. But in traffic, I'd rather drive behind the right wing guy than the fucking Elizabeth Warren. The thing that Democrats like to do is we like to keep the sticker from like years ago as if to say, I've
been here for a while.
I could have, if you had voted for Warren or Bernie, maybe things would be different.
Hillary warned us.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff. The old Al Gore. You see people buy the old Al Gore sticker.
Yeah.
Like, get a life, you know.
There's an NPR one around here, and every time I see that, I'm like, what are you trying to do here?
You're so funny to notice that. Years ago, I tried to do a bit about how if you see someone with that NPR sticker on their car, it's such a clue, because a lot of people listen to NPR, but if you really want people to know that much that you do, even in traffic, it's almost like saying, hey, I'm going to go below the limit.
Yeah, maybe it's good. It's
I'm
like
going to take wide turns.
It's good, yeah.
I just fucking traffic is. I've been flirting with the idea of leaving Boston, and it's like,
oh, I know,
this fucking traffic is ridiculous.
I know,
it's ridiculous
all the time too. It's all the time,
all day, every day.
Before, like in the middle of the day, you could get shit done, but it's impossible now.
No, it is. I do the other podcast with Del Volpe, and he lives in Somerville. That used to be a 15-20 minute drive. It's 45 to an hour every single time.
Yeah.
And and I've tried all different times of the day. And I'm just like, okay, fucking, this is now like a road gig. This is like a trip. And half of it is, I sound like old man Noonan, but half of it is, you're like, what is this person doing? And then you go by them and they're.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it ever is.
Like, and as I do it right now, got distracted by the bright, shiny phone, but.
We all do. That's the issue. We used to stare at a campfire, and now we stare at like a box that makes us feel smarter than we are. Like it's fucked.
There's that thing. Oh, how many people on Facebook liked my opinion, you know?
Yeah.
But there's that thing.
I remember feeling like that, though.
We've talked about. Oh, yeah.
I remember that. So I think people, it's almost like when you first start smoking weed, everyone like wants to listen to the Beatles or just do typical dumb shit. But eventually you just kind of shake out and be a normal person.
Yeah.
But there's like a period of time.
I agree. That was me when I returned to drinking again. It was like, there was like a month there where I was like, why don't we just drink beer like every night? Or like, or it was like I was like, give me wine, give me that. I was just doing everything, and then all of a sudden I was like, all right, novelty's gone.
You're talking about IPAs.
Yeah, I laughed so hard about that because I made fun of Opie for drinking like grapefruit IPAs and all this stuff, and now I caught myself. I was doing a gig in Beverly, and I even went, gonna want a couple IPAs tonight. After this gig, I know I will. And I was like, and the liquor stores will be closed when I'm done. So I'm going to go before the gig, buy some IPAs, keep them in my car, drive home and drink a couple, right?
It's a perfect plan.
Perfect plan, right? So I'm laughing at myself because I'm in, and I went to this liquor store and it was like, they had 50,000 IPAs for sale, right? And I'm like looking, I don't know any of them. I know a few that I like, but I wanted to try a new one, right? And I'm looking, I felt like the same way I did when I was at Toys R Us or KB as a kid, and you're just like, all the action figures are on the wall.
I'm a big kid now.
I'm like, what do I want? And I'm looking and I'm laughing at myself because I go, these are all ingredients I would have made fun of Opie for years ago, and here I am. I'm just like,
spirit of lemongrass?
I'm like, grapefruit or pomegranate? Or do I even want a fruity lager? Maybe I want a heady and hoppy. Or maybe not heady and hoppy. Maybe I just want a good old like a pale ale. And you catch yourself going like, all right. And a lot of times after something like that, I'll be like, let's get some fucking Miller Lite. or I like the ones they call them session beers. They're only like 4%, 4.5%.
Yeah,
but it's IPAs are. Tricky business, man.
I just think it's crazy because that's the only thing I liked, and now I think how everyone used to always say how they taste terrible. I can't get past like their terrible, horrible taste, and I can't even ever imagining pushing through for it to taste good again.
I like IPAs, but what I can't get past is it's just like 50 times the calories and bad shit as a regular beer.
Do they even put calorie count on beers?
No, but that's why like you can just feel it the next day. But also, so the whole thing, a whole India Pale Ale IPA thing is, this is the whole funny thing about life. Like bread is like this, right? So the big thing now is sourdough bread, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I want
delicious.
I want my bread to
live,
to be, have a
life,
life, be sourdough and be hard and chewy. But for years the thing in bread was like light and fluffy, and even in history. Like when bread in the old like medieval times or Edwardian times, it was the rich people would eat like fresh white bread.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm rich, I can afford the fresh ingredients, da-da-da. And poor peasants would be eating sourdough bread with yeast that's years old and hard and like and it was like, one day I'll be rich and I'll eat the good bread. And now the rich people want their sourdough, and the poor people are like, I just fucking want good tasting bread, that's
Whack
easy
bread.
to make, And it's the same thing with beer, because the way an IPA was invented was it took basically if you made beer in the UK or the US and tried to ship it.
I told you this on the show.
You told me this on the show?
Yeah.
And they would put extra hops in it, dude.
Yeah, because it would spoil.
Now I'm an expert. Is that where I learned that, on this show?
Yeah.
That's so typical. I'm surprised that doesn't happen more. But it's still, the point is still the same, that
Yeah, they had to overly hop it. It was never for taste. It was never for anything else. It was for preservation.
That's so funny.
To get out
now that you're saying it again, I'm like, oh yeah, I did learn that here. But it's still the same thing. Like that wasn't considered great. That was just considered a way to get beer across the thing without a
really even out. To get not even just beer, to get a drinkable liquid, because they couldn't get water across either without being fermented.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, they would give beer to people in the hospital and stuff.
Yeah, children.
But it's just funny how things, taste change. Like ripped jeans will go from being for poor people to being to high fashion. It's just we're in this cycle all the time of
that's all everything does.
Poor people dictate the culture. I think in a way though, it's like young artists and young people, whatever. I always say that they're the ones who dictate what eventually becomes high class and what eventually becomes like what rich people do.
Yeah.
It's funny to me how that and then it becomes lame because rich people are doing it, and then they come up with something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Life.
Cyclical.
And then sometimes you're just like, Pamela Anderson Lee was a smoke show.
This lady is hot though. They did a great job.
Yeah, she really does look, perfectly just like her. It must be fucked up for Pamela Anderson.
I think it says here she's not thrilled with this.
Oh no! I don't think. Well, I don't think the sex tape thing was ever something she was happy about, and that's what this movie's really about.
Okay,
I think. I think the movie is kind of about. I think the movie's really about. Oh, like she's a victim and. Da 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 da. I had a copy of this.
She is in a lot of ways. But,
they both.
But it
are.
also kept her relevant for probably a period of time longer than she would have been.
Well, and it's much easier now to be like, well, what? Kim Kardashian had a sex tape.
Yeah,
but back then it was a big fucking deal. And I think when you are a, she was a light, soft core. She did Playboy.
Yeah, exactly.
She wasn't a porn star.
No, she was an actress, really.
She was doing movies. She did Playboy, and I don't know. I think, it's a better look for Tommy Lee, but I don't think either one of them wanted that out. But the point is, I remember.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt Tommy Lee at all.
My sister, my sister was in college or graduated from college, and she was dating this guy who was a video editor.
Oh, okay.
And I swear to God, this is true. It was so funny. I was probably this guy was cool. I was probably 14. 15 years old or whatever, and he's coming over to pick up my sister sometimes, and he's like, hey Will, I put some Celtics highlights together for you on this tape, and he hands it to me. He's like, don't let anyone see the tape, right? So I'm like, dope, thanks man. I pop it in. The first thing on the tape is the South Park, that original South Park that George Clooney was sending around with Jesus and stuff. And then and I'm like, oh, cool. He got me this. We had talked about that, and South Park was now on Comedy Central. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I watch it, and I'm like, that's neat that he got that for me. And then it just goes that ends, and it goes into Tommy and Pamela Lee on a boat. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it wasn't just, it was the entire video, beginning to end. Them checking into the hotel. It's their whole vacation tape.
Yeah.
So not only is it just holy shit, Pamela Lee
is 1995. Wow.
And she's doing some kinky fucking stuff in it.
You're 13. You were
I was 13 12, to 95. 13, right? Yeah. But I think this was so 95, 96. I was 6th, 7th grade. And so then I'm watching, and I'm just and Tommy Lee's dick is this long. But it was such a
I've never seen it to this day.
Oh, it's such a personal it's such a personal thing, because they're clearly newlyweds, and it's definitely clear they never intended anyone to ever see this fucking thing. There's a super funny part where Pamela Lee, they actually seem like cool people too.
Yeah,
it's not just drivel. Pamela Lee is pretty funny. She says something. She goes, "See, kids, this is why I date your dad." And then she goes, "Wait a minute, I'm never going to show this to our kids." There's a part where they're on a boat, in Mexico somewhere, and they're both just naked boating, and Tommy Lee's like, "Hey babe, look," and he puts his dick on the steering wheel and just starts driving the boat with his dick. It's a fun couple. It's not like a porno. And there are parts where they're banging and videotaping and stuff, but a lot of it is just them being kind of goofy.
Home movies.
Yeah, but it's definitely not like a porno. Even in the sense of Kim Kardashian, where they set up a camera and they're doing poses and da da da.
Yeah,
It's more just like, we're on this vacation, and they're definitely like high and kind of drunk. And,
Yeah, Tommy Lee being Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee's great. People, if you didn't grow up at that time, like when he played drums upside down, it was probably the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
And he's a great drummer too.
Yeah,
Motley Crue is very cool, man. I always thought.
Yeah,
but this looks like it's gonna be really good. Anyway,
you know, you were saying soft bread before. How like, well, I read this thing recently where they said our jaws aren't really supposed to be like this, and that's why people have so many teeth and mouth problems, and we're really supposed to eat harder shit.
That's interesting.
So we have like actual muscles.
That's interesting because I remember
it was also the article ended up selling like a ball that you put in your mouth to strengthen. So it was
I know about those. Yeah, because there was also I've read in plenty of things about bread, like and even cookbooks where they're like up until a certain point, most bread had like yeast in it, like that wasn't. It was the way bread was made. Like it would grind your teeth down over the years, especially if you were poor and you were eating like the cheaper bread.
Yeah,
there would be stuff in it that you would like almost sand. You know, and it would slowly over the years grind your teeth down to nubs. A lot of the people they find, a lot of the bones they find, the teeth are like all fucked up from the
Not
bread.
Great dental hygiene.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's interesting. What a society. We went from baking bread and shipping India Pale Ale to videotapes of rock stars fucking.
I know. For real though.
Here's a guy who was telling
me how many years since they made the first movie, a silent movie, to when they made that porno, that Pam and Lee porno. Like not 100 years.
Over Thanksgiving, I went to my buddies and I saw his 95-year-old grandfather watching football on an iPhone like this. And I was thinking, that guy, of all the people in this room, must really appreciate the fact that he's watching football on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like he must be thinking.
He really gets it.
Yeah. He's like, I remember when football wasn't even on TV.
Yeah.
I remember when the NFL wasn't a thing. Now I'm watching it on this magic little phone thing.
This magic box.
And then he started to eat the phone, and I was like, oh, Grandpa. Want to do a story or something?
Yeah, it's his story.
Or something? I'm losing my vision. I can barely read.
I thought this was pretty amazing.
Dick Pound.
Yeah, the IOC.
I heard about this.
Okay, so, well.
I just heard Dick Pound, like, everywhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pam and Tommy.
This is Dick Pound. This is what he looks like. But basically, like a woman disappeared quite a while ago, and she spoke out against sexual. She was sexually abused by.
All about this.
And then just basically disappeared, and then some crazy messages came out. Pretty much, like
is she alive?
We have no idea.
He's
saying that she's fine. She put out like a written text that said she was fine, and everything was. Even the original story that when she claimed to be sexually abused was taken out of context.
Out of context.
Yeah.
How do you take that out of context? What is the IOC?
The International Olympic Committee.
Oh God.
So they've probably one of the most corrupt agencies. Yeah. He's like, no, she's perfectly fine because the next Olympics, I believe, is in China.
Oh yeah,
is in Beijing. So
a
lot of money.
World Tennis Association just said they canceled everything in China because of this.
Yeah, good for them. Someone has to. Like you can't be disappearing people. We don't.
No fucking way. And also, come on, man. It's 2021. There's no way when someone is this missing and this concern, everyone's concerned. You put out a written statement,
typed,
get a 10-second video of her.
Yeah, on a TikTok
doing anything. She could talk into like her fridge probably has a camera in it that she could give a message to somebody.
I think they're trying to clone her.
Just getting like a plastic surgery done on some other great tennis player.
Face Off too.
China's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's freaky. The scary thing is though, there's so much money that people are just willing to say anything. Do you remember John Cena's apology? LeBron's after he supported Hong Kong and then backed away from it.
It's money, man. It's
freaky though.
Money is important, and when
it freaks me out.
It's such a big difference for a guy like LeBron and John Cena. LeBron is in a really interesting spot because he really could. He's probably one of the only people big enough where if he was like, listen,
he could do it.
I don't want to fuck with China over this stuff, and because yada yada yada. it's human rights violations, whatever. But I'm sure when it came time, he probably even maybe had that thought. And then when it came time for his advisors and Nike and stuff like that to be like, listen, LeBron, this isn't a $1 billion decision. This is almost $1 trillion.
Yeah. As soon as you see the number, you're like,
Yeah. And you're like, can't you just be all right with a few sweatshops if this is the money we'd be losing? And I think as much as it's easy
he wants to be a billionaire. So.
It's easy to point fingers at those guys. But how many of us in our day-to-day life make decisions like that all the time where you go like, well, listen, like I'm not happy with the way cows are slaughtered, but I don't really have to see it and I don't really have to deal with it. And I love meat.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? And I'm not really happy with the drug situation in this country, but I'm not going to like donate half my income to solving it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things that we all make decisions of, and it's easy to point out.
And it is a similar decision. It's just bigger.
Yeah. John Cena, too, I think, is. John Cena, it was struck me as odd that he was learning.
Yeah, he's a long mark. Like he's had this in his head for a long time.
Yeah.
People have told him this. Like,
yeah, so it's definitely dangerous stuff, but
their new weapon scares me. I'm very afraid of China again.
You hear about China and like fucking jamming up satellites and stuff like that. They're always sort of, I think, testing the same way my dog likes to test his boundaries.
Yeah, it's the raptors in Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Testing the fences.
They're getting smarter. Wiser. No, it's true. But one of the things I don't really even pretend to fully grasp is the Chinese, Russian, American sort of economic war and intelligence war that is always going on.
Yeah.
Because even if I dedicated my life to researching it, I still will never find out classified information, which is really the stuff that dictates these things.
I completely agree.
So it's kind of like LeBron and Cena, they're not even famous or important enough to know the classified stuff, but they know people who know the classified stuff.
Yeah.
And those people advise them and they go, don't mess with it.
And don't even mess with China. They disappeared this lady. They might make your plane crash. Who the fuck knows? They make all the chips and everything.
Or your helicopter? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Kobe would have said. Kobe was saying something. Holy shit!
That still makes me sad. I was watching an old YouTube video.
Dude, it makes me sad too because I don't think I really grasped it because of when it happened.
Because of COVID
in the middle,
and
so it never fully registered. And every once in a while, I'm like, Kobe's dead.
Dude,
Kobe Bryant's dead.
I feel the same way. I was watching this. I was just watching NBA YouTube videos, and it led into like this old mic'd up. You know how they mic up people, and it was just a montage of great mic'd up moments, and a bunch of them were Kobe, and you're just going like, damn, dude, that was hard. I was actually visiting my parents like when that happened. I was sitting in the living room with my mom, and I was just like, and already stressed about all the COVID stuff and everything, and then just being like, God damn, like this is sad. It's truly a sad one.
I didn't like it too because it's also I kind of felt like he died because he was using his money to do too much, and that's like my biggest fear, like getting killed in gluttony. So I'm like, you could have just you could have done a little less. You didn't need to be helicoptering your daughter to basketball games. Like it's too much. Like
I don't know though. I agree with you and I disagree with you because I remember when I lived. This is just personal experience. When I lived in New York, one of the gyms I worked at happened to be next to like the heliport of New York, one of the heliports in New York.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so many fucking people who aren't Kobe
that are using them.
Helicopters are just going in
They're
and out.
Not even Bill Burr's.
Yeah, like Bill Burr's the same way. He's not that kind of. He's not Kobe rich.
Yeah.
People use helicopters, you know.
I know, but to me, it seems like a crazy whirly bird thing. Like it's
whirly bird.
It's just like a ridiculous thing to do.
What's fishy about that is that the guy took off, like everyone said. But see, that's the thing. See, here's what I think may have happened. And this is fucking, just a weird
adding
thought.
To the story.
I think Kobe may have been a victim of the whole, well, I do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Or I'm like powerful and I do what I want to do mentality. So someone on that, either he said like, I don't give a fuck if they say it's
we're
cloudy,
going.
we're going.
Yeah.
Or the guy was so afraid of Kobe's aura and his essence and all that stuff, he didn't want to say
He didn't
no.
want to let him down.
He didn't want to let him down or something like that, where it's this whole idea of just get it done, you know, like
that's what I'm talking about. Like
Steve Jobs effect.
I have fear of like getting a bunch of money and going on a hunt in Africa and getting eaten by a lion. Like it's like something you didn't need to do.
No, that's one of the bases of our friendship is that we're both sort of. I would not go bungee jumping.
No. You're asking
skydiving.
You're asking for stuff.
Yeah, it's like
you could have just like
it's like playing Russian roulette.
Could have had a nice lunch.
It's like playing Russian roulette with a gun that has 400 chambers.
Yeah, it makes
in one
sense.
bullet. It is like
sense.
Guess what though? Guess what's better than you go 1 in 400 chance of playing Russian roulette? You're probably gonna live. Yeah, you're probably gonna live. But if you put the fucking gun with 400 chambers down, you're 100% gonna live.
And I just not do it.
And just not fucking do
Never
that.
even think
ever,
about it.
You know? And I remember that Steve Jobs movie. There was 2 of them, and they both were the same thing. It was like Steve Jobs walks into a room, and he's like, I need this iPhone done by 4 p.m. And everyone would be like, Steve, that's impossible. And he'd be like, get it done. I don't care what's impossible. It's possible. Do it. And then they'd be like, and then they'd get it done, and Steve Jobs would be like, I'm a genius. Everyone read the books about Steve Jobs. Everyone was like, don't take no for an answer. This is the way to do it. Like, bully, you're fucking... And it became a management style for like fucking ever, you know? Yeah. And a lot of people still do it. I think COVID kind of killed it because employees like don't even go to work anymore. But I think that's may have played a factor into it where sometimes when you're so rich and powerful or Ricky Gervais, you know, he's been right so many times that he thinks he's right on everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's just... No one is infallible. See you guys next week.
Mortality.